name's Amanda and welcome to the tutorial for block number 7 in my half square triangle sampler quilt along series. So in today's video we will be making this block. This is a variation of the churn dash block. So this version of the churn dash block still does feature a lot of the main design elements in the original churn dash block. You've got your half square triangles in the corners and also a main center square in the center. I think this is a really great block to show off a dominant print or a beautiful print or one of your favorite prints that you have in the fabrics that you're using. This print that I'm using is actually one of my favorites in the range. It's called Minaret and it just has these beautiful design elements. It's got little butterflies and swirls and love hearts and flowers, and I just think it's gorgeous and I absolutely love all of the colors in it, so that's why I chose to use it in this block. When making your block, you don't have to use a contrasting fabric in the center like I have. You can definitely use the same fabric you've used for your background. For me, I chose to use a contrasting fabric because it fits in with the colors that are in the print, and I think it just adds another interesting point to the block. So like always, you can find all of the measurement and cutting instructions for this block down in the description box below. You can also find a link to the pattern sheet which will have all of the measurement and cutting and info. It also has a clear diagram of the way that the block should be pieced together, as well as some fun facts about the block. Right, so this is how you make this very simple variation of the churn dash block. In block number 7, I'm using the Blue Skies solid for the background, the Minaret print for the squares and half square triangles, and then the Elephantastic pink solid for the center. So to make this variation of the churn dash block, you will need to cut 2 5-inch squares from your background and print fabrics, and then 4 4.5-inch squares from the print and 1 4.5-inch square from the other solid fabric. As always, begin by first making the half square triangles. Do this by first marking a line on the wrong side of 2 of the 5-inch squares. Evenly pair each of these together with the 2 other 5-inch squares and place a pin in the center. At the sewing machine, sew a 1/4 inch seam along the left side of the line and then gently feed through the next pair. After reaching the end, turn the chain squares around and sew another 1/4 inch seam along the other side of the line. Next, snip the joining threads and cut each pair in half along the pencil line, resulting in 4 half square triangle units. With a medium to hot steamy iron, press each unit open with the seam lying towards the darker side of fabric. Then using a set square ruler, carefully and patiently trim each half square triangle to a perfect 4.5-inch unit. Next, place all of your half square triangles and 4.5-inch squares together into the simple churn dash design. Starting with the top row, flip the center square onto the half square triangle to the left. Evenly line up the edges and then pin together. Sew a 1/4 inch seam along this edge and then press the seam inwards towards the center square. Lay the duo back into place and flip over the last unit in the row. Evenly square up the edges and then pin them together. Sew another 1/4 inch seam down this edge and then press the seam inwards towards the center square. And then from here, piece together the next 2 rows in the block in the same way, ensuring to press all seams towards the side of the print fabric. After all 3 rows have been pieced together, flip the top row over onto the middle one and nest the center seams together. Pin the entire edge into place and then sew a 1/4 inch seam along it, ensuring that each nested seam is lying flat before sewing over it. Then at the ironing board, gently press the seam towards the middle row. Flip the last row in the block over into place. Nest the center seams like before and then pin the edges together. Sew your final 1/4 inch seam down this side, making sure again that each nested seam is lying flat before feeding them through. Once more, press this seam towards the middle row and then give the top of the block a final press. Lastly, carefully square up the block with a set square ruler to 12.5 inches. Now I really cannot wait to see what types of fabrics you choose to make this block. You really do have a really great opportunity with this one to showcase one of your favorite fabrics, just like I said, and to really practice those nesting skills to get some really lovely points in the center of your block. Now block 8 should be out in the next couple of days. I am actually running a couple of days behind schedule because of the dental work that I had done on Monday. And just a little side note on that, thank you to everyone for wishing me well with that. Things are slowly getting back to normal. Things are still a little bit sore, a little bit tender, but I'll be okay. I'll be alright. So block 8 is one that we've actually done before. It's the open window block, and this version is a little bit trickier than the one that I've done previously. And just like with the mill wheel block, with this one we will need to have our thinking caps on to be able to piece it all together quite perfectly and nicely in the way that I've designed the block. But until then, keep sharing your blocks with me. I love seeing them. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see you another time very, very soon. Bye! So block number 6 is this awesome little beauty here. This one is called the Mill Wheel block. Try and say that 10 times fast without stumbling. This block is made completely out of half square triangles. There's 16 of them in here.